comes in real quick, and then people are anxious, little things like that. Or, of course, last year with that large fire coming up, where everybody was on edge for a while there, and we have a lot of customers down in Tonto Basin and those areas, and so that's what happened down there. We were put on lockdown. So once that fire is heading that direction, everything goes under a moratorium, and we can't make changes at that point. So we need to stay ahead of it, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a trip looking at Facebook this morning in my Facebook memories. It was 1 year ago today that we were evacuated down in Tonto Basin. And I remember, I've done a lot of disasters in like 35 countries, and I'm very accustomed to what that looks and smells and acts like. But be the one being evacuated was a little different last year.
I bet. I know we got all our updates through you down there.
Well, we evacuated all the way to Jake's Corner, and spent the night there, and then came back. Even though everyone else stayed evacuated, we were able to keep an eye on the ingress and egress points, and decided to stay down there, and that was quite a trip, especially when that fire came up over the mountains there from the Phoenix side, and when it first peeked through there, it was the reality of what was going on, kind of hit home. And now with everything down in Globe, that fire in Globe now is over 100,000 acres as of last night. So craziness.
Yeah.
So now, BJ, how long have you been with Matt Crespin State Farm Insurance?
I mean, I'm just working on my second month. I was so blessed. I'm a local, as you know.
A lot of people know you from the banking business.
A lot of people know me from the banking business. It was a great 8 years running the bank.
Right.
Had the opportunity, though, to work for a hometown company.
Right.
Happened to be a friend and get a little more life back.
There you go.
The corporate life is corporate life.
It is a lack of life.
Yes, sir, it is. And it's good for the moment, but I've got a 3 and 8 year old, as a lot of people know, and my priorities kind of just shifted, and an opportunity, opened up. It's been great. It's great to work for somebody that gives in the community. Right. That's a part of the community.
Well, and you've had your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community for quite some time, and I think that's really important too, as far as someone that everybody here seems to know each other, and if you have someone that just comes here from out of town, it takes a while to catch up to get up to speed.
I've learned in my 40 years in Payson, my greatest resource is Payson. All my friends and family. What I can bring to a company is my connections and relationships. It's a lot easier to ask a question of a friend in a text or a phone call than maybe an 800 number.
Oh, exactly.
And so I think regardless of what I've done, it's made me successful. But I know for me personally, I'd much rather do business with someone I know. Sure. I can maybe ask a question that maybe I'm a little embarrassed about, or I shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. So those things make it just a great seamless transition.
And you've been in Payson for 40 years.
I have. My grandparents moved me up here in 1980 out in Whispering Pines.
I've been here for 40 years too.
Yeah,
So wow, that's a
product of this place. Yeah, I did leave to go to ASU. And I was fortunate enough to get to come back, and raising my family over in Payson Ranchos. We love it.
Gotta love it. Nothing wrong with that. Now, when it comes to the insurance business in general, Matt, I want to go back to that the whole idea of homeowners insurance and fire safety. I've heard some people say in some areas that they can't get any coverage that would actually protect them from wildfire. Is that true?
Yeah, and we're hearing it more and more. It's a little surprising. Less and less companies are offering home coverage up here. That's actually one way we're getting a lot of new customers, is they have a great company, but they just don't offer it in the forest. Mm-hmm. And so they'll come see us for that second home, and a lot of times we'll just do that for them. But yeah, a lot of companies are just not offering it, and thankfully State Farm's still letting us go fairly deep into the forest. We're still doing Happy Jack and Blue Ridge areas and things. Right. There's a few developments we can't go into, but it's very rare right now, thankfully. Mm-hmm. Less and less opportunities for coverage out there.
Well, that just makes business that much better for you.
Yeah, it's good for us. Yeah. Because it's nice. I mean, we love being up here, but that's our biggest risk, if something big like that ever happens. So. Well,
one of the things that I noticed too in working with you is that if I have my homeowners insurance and automobile insurance and all this other stuff through you, I get a better rate.
Yeah, much better. We had a customer yesterday actually. So the way it works is, all the big companies want the bundle effect. So if you have your home and your auto together, it creates usually a 35% discount on your house and an additional
35.
Yeah, which is huge, and that's what they were so surprised by. And then 15% off the cars. So that's how we're most competitive, is when we get a few things, and it can be renter's insurance, life insurance, any of those things with your auto create some discounts. So that's how we do best. But yeah, the more we have, the bigger the discount typically for people.
And how long have you been in the insurance business here in Payson?
In Payson, I've been up here 7 years in about a week and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Going by fast. But I've been with State Farm for over 16 years now, and a great company. Even working on the corporate side, they're a really good company, and makes it easy to have a lot of faith in what you're doing. So
We were talking before going on the air today, and I was really surprised, as I just never had known that this kind of thing could be offered. But you were saying that you're actually taking on another entity that offers home mortgage.
Yep. So,
how does that work?
Yeah, pretty interesting. A lot of people don't know State Farm had a bank, and we no longer do. They got out of that business about probably almost 2 years ago now, and it's a big reason. Another big reason BJ's excited, right, having the banking background. But they decided to go a different direction, and in that decision, we're now working with U.S. Bank for our normal bank products.
Right.
So we do offer some of that. We don't do a whole lot of it. A lot of people want a bank they can walk into, of course, but it's mostly virtual through U.S. Bank. But the big one we're excited about is that we partnered with Rocket Mortgage and Quicken Loans to offer mortgage assistance to people, so we can do new purchases, refinances, all that stuff now, which is a great opportunity up here.
Been seeing a lot of marketing from both the Rocket Mortgage and the Quicken.
Yeah, and I mean, the great part is, State Farm's always been number one, and those guys are number one in what they do also, so it's really cool to partner with such a large company, and that's something BJ's done for, how many years?
20 years of mortgage.
You're starting to get the hang of it?
A little bit. A few of them. Well, and that was the thing, I'll tell you, that was most exciting to me when I was at the bank.
Right.
Our largest competitor that always would slay us was Rocket Mortgage.
Really?
The one hang-up that people would get, and as we've introduced it in the community, we've heard a few people say, didn't have that personal touch. Well, that's no longer an issue. And that's really what makes it exciting. It used to be if you did a Rocket Mortgage, you did it on your phone. I've done one myself, very easy process. But if you had a question or something, you were on the phone with someone maybe, you didn't know. In mortgage and in the largest purchase of your career or life, accountability is so important. Sitting down in front of somebody, not only at the signing table,
Right.
but as you go through the process with questions and to be guided. And so that's what just makes it so
you really
unique.
you gotta have a sense of trust, and because these are probably some of the biggest financial decisions many people will make.
For sure.
So that's
And
an
also maybe their largest investment.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what we're looking forward to. Especially over this last year and a half, right? Everything's gone online, so everyone's doing these large purchases through phone and email, and it's difficult. And so that's Rocket Mortgage is all online, but we can be that bridge to help people get things done and make it a little easier.
And in this day and age, you got to have that personal touch, because I think we're all sick and tired of getting phone calls from that person who wants to talk to us about our expired vehicle reminder warranty or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much scammy stuff out there. It's hard to feel good about making significant deals when you can't see somebody.
And for us, it's more of a way to help our current customers. We want to help new customers too anytime we can, of course, but for us the opportunity is more with the people we already work with.
Right.
They already have a relationship with us, hopefully trust us pretty good, and so we can guide them through that more difficult process.
Right. And BJ, in your 20 years of doing this kind of work, have you ever seen home mortgage rates as low as they are right now?
Oh, this would definitely be. I checked this morning before I came in just to see where they were ticking at, and still right below that 3% mark, what they'll call par, and then from there, obviously based on your situation, it's a unique situation with inflation and with the home prices going the way they are. Normally these things aren't all synergetic.
Yeah.
Normally we'll have raising home prices and the rates will be kind of ticking along with them, or vice versa.
Okay, compared to my very first mortgage, I'm feeling violated. I mean, this is like, wow, these are great rates. And I mean, one of the things I know, and I didn't realize you were all getting into this, or I would have slowed down a little bit, but I just did a refi, just finishing up doing a refi in our place. And man, those interest rates can make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
especially in the long run, that's what people don't look at. We all look at our monthly payment, of course, because we got a budget. But when you look at that difference over 20, 30 years, the money you can save, I mean, it's tens and tens of thousands of dollars.
Lots of money.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so now, when it comes to I've noticed, at least in this last time around here, that it seemed like refis are a little easier to deal with than a home mortgage, with a brand new property.
Yeah, they're usually pretty smooth because you've already got that loan, and so now you're just providing. You guys still have a lot of documentation, as you probably found out.
Yeah.
But that's the difficult part of it. The rest is just looking at what's the objective. You know, do you need cash out, or do you just want that lower rate? What's the goal? And then that's it. Collect some documents and see if we can help.
I was amazed that we took a healthy chunk of cash out to do some improvements on our property, and my monthly payment is still less than it was before.
Yeah.
So I'm trying really hard not to giggle all day long.
You know, and this won't last forever. I mean, we all know it's going to go back up at some point, but so far it's really held for quite a while.
So carpe diem, baby.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, when it comes to other types of insurance, how about automobile insurance? Has there been any big changes in the industry of late?
They actually have. So about a year ago now, it's been almost a year already, but Arizona raised the minimum limits. It used to be $15,000 per person on bodily injury coverage and $30,000 per accident. They've raised that to $25,000 and $50,000. So imagining everyone who had that low amount knows that by now because they forced you to raise it up.
Mm-hmm.
So they are bringing up some of those limits, and it's important. I mean, $15,000, especially for us up here, if you're injured and you get flown down to the valley, that's not even half that cost, you know.
Yeah.
So it needs to be higher. I know it's hard to afford at times. Everyone has a budget that we've got to work around and make it fit, but that coverage is important. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of industry-wide changes here in Arizona, at least lately, other than that.
It doesn't seem like there's going to be a whole lot of change in that particular trend. I mean, unless we get rid of all the lawyers.
Yeah, no, the litigation doesn't move very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's some different things that are being actively pursued in Arizona to change throughout the industry, but it's a pretty slow process. You know, we don't see that stuff too often. But no, we just try to make sure people have the liability they need. You know, we try to make sure they understand what that auto policy really does, which is essentially protecting your paycheck and your assets if you are in a at-fault accident. You know, not everyone looks at it from that perspective, but that's the goal, is to make sure that your accident is just aggravating, not devastating. Right?
Yeah, there's a terminology that escapes my wee little mind, but it protects people, when it comes to insurance, protects people if I bought a car 4 years ago, brand new, and I say I total it in an accident today, I know a lot of times insurance will pay what that car is worth today, rather than necessarily what I owe on it.
Yeah.
And there's a terminology for how to get the extra insurance you need to cover yourself that way, isn't there?
So the whole industry pays that way. So when you have a loss, they're going to pay based on current market value.
Right.
And current market value doesn't mean Kelley Blue Book. It means what are those vehicles selling for in this area?
Right.
And so they'll look at that when they determine any sort of payout or what the car's value is and things. But there are some companies out there that offer a secondary endorsement that they call a new car replacement or something. We don't offer that, but what I can tell you is we don't really typically need to. The only real reason for that I've seen is when someone is kind of upside down on the vehicle. So, which I know can happen quickly, right? You buy a car and it goes down in value fast. But we don't usually see it.
That's what you get for buying a Kia.
Yeah. And we don't normally see it as a problem unless you bought a lot of options and upgrades and things like that with it. So we don't, honestly, I couldn't even tell you last time I had somebody who was upset about our auto payouts, which is good. Our auto claims have been fantastic.
I've never had a problem, but I've heard people talk about that, and I guess, like you say, they just got in upside down. By the way, my apologies to all of you out there that drive Kias. My condolences or whatever.
They got some nice new ones.
Yeah, they definitely have upped their game a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, so BJ, are you primarily focused on the new banking aspect of what's going on, or are you involved with everything?
You bet. So when I decided to come to work for Matt, the only license I lacked in Arizona for securities was my property and casualty. So I went right out and got it. I took that test up at NAU. So no, I do everything in there. Any new business comes through. I had one yesterday, folks over at Fargo's having lunch, and they just purchased a beautiful home up here and decided they didn't want to leave town until it was insured. So, things like that. We just go through and work with them. And so every aspect of it, from life insurance, which a lot of people don't think about when they think about State Farm.
That's true.
Such an important thing. It is the anti-GoFundMe. Whenever I see a family friend or a friend with a GoFundMe, I think there wasn't life insurance in place.
Right.
So that's a huge one to me. I'm hoping to bring value to State Farm with that, and then also with the mortgage, and then property and casualty. I'll tell you, when my in-laws got a letter in the mail from the town of Payson about the service line protection, boy, I got a phone call.
Right.
Doesn't our insurance have this? And so did we have a lot of policyholders that had questions about that too. So I just think every aspect of it that I can help with, and then service as well. I want to be that friendly face if they have a problem and they're a current customer.
There you go.
We can help them.
Well, it brings up an interesting point too, because, and again, you're not going to find anyone that's a whole lot less knowledgeable about life insurance than I am. But I do know that there's, you got term life insurance, whole life, all of that. I mean, has that industry changed much over the years, or are there new aspects to life insurance versus maybe what was around a decade or two ago?
I think so.
It's changing, but the interesting part is each company's changing in their own way. So what State Farm offers, the other big guys may not, or vice versa. So like one thing I can say about us, we don't have any of like the variable products nowadays where it uses the stock market to grow. We don't do any of that. We do more guaranteed type of products where another company might offer both or just the other style. So it's but yeah, you see some change. The big change is how they do grow and develop based on the rates. Their life insurance, a lot of people don't know, is in some ways very dependent on how good the economy is doing as well. So because there are some pieces to those policies that grow over time based on your investment into them, and so yeah, but it's ultimately it's just a great way to protect yourself, but there's so many other aspects to it as far as saving for your retirement and your future. And it's not just about the benefit that when somebody passes, but there are a lot of other ways it can help you in your own life too, and not everyone understands that.
Are you talking about like long-term investment aspects of this, as far as being able to recoup that money later on in life?
Yeah, and it's not always really an investment, because most of ours don't do any actual investing. But as you put your money in, the way that it does grow, you do earn some different types of dividends and accumulation in those policies. So they're not just about that benefit to your family, but can be used by you in retirement to offset differences in income or health changes that we go through to help through those processes later in life. So
what's the biggest misconception people have about life insurance?
Price.
Too expensive.
Really?
Yeah, too expensive. I mean, and it can be, right? Like the one part with it is every year we get older, the price goes up every single year.
Well, don't let the fact that I'm 95 and I've had 3 bypass surgeries mess you up here.
Yeah, so that's where the struggle comes in, is honestly just waiting too long, and not looking at it earlier. I mean, even myself, I'll be honest, I didn't look at it real heavily until I worked for State Farm, and I didn't have my first policy until I did, and I have way too much, but it's because of my situation, right? If something were to happen to me today, I want all of my debts taken care of for Maya and my son, to where they're going to be okay for at least a good long while,
right?
And get through and find their way, forward. So, yeah, it's just everyone's needs are different, but yeah,
probably. I'm guessing that a really smart thing for younger people to be looking at earlier on in life rather than waiting, later.
Mm-hmm, yep, and even new parents. So I have a 1-year-old now. He's almost 1 year and 4 months already, but yeah, the first thing I did,
college bound.
Yeah, he's cruising. But that's one of the first things I did, understanding it the way I do, was bought him a policy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, obviously, hope nothing ever happens to him, but
right.
It's more about the long term. So the type of policy I bought cost me about $20 a month.
Oh, wow.
And I'm done paying for it in 15 years. And then it will grow and accumulate money over the rest of his life. So he's if you do that for our kids while they're young, they're already pretty much set up. They don't have to think about that big policy later. That same policy, if you buy it when you're 30 or 40, by the way, probably about $150, $200 a month.
So it makes a lot of good sense to get that started early on.
Yeah, but not everyone thinks about that, and obviously you don't want to think about anything happening to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's difficult, but it's important.
Now, I would imagine that that's, again, as what both of you have been alluding to here, is that this is often something that people ignore or don't get
They just
active
don't
with
wanna
early
talk
enough.
about
Yeah.
it.
But what about when it comes to homeowners insurance? Are there things that people overlook
Yeah.
that are chronic problems there?
Yeah, no, gosh, I wouldn't say chronic. I'll be honest, every claim we have is different. But the big thing that gets overlooked, I think, a lot in the industry is most of our policies. I can't speak to any other company, but most of them are similar. But most policies have a limited amount of coverage for things like jewelry or firearms.
Mhm.
We have personal property protection, but there's limits on some of those items. And so we try to talk about that with folks and show them how we would insure those things differently. Another thing that gets missed a lot is that BJ mentioned, recently a lot of us are receiving letters about protecting our service lines. So the pipes going from your home down to the street
Right.
are not typically protected by your home insurance or by the city. So now they're offering ways to sell you more insurance on it when actually we can just add it as an endorsement on our end for much less. And so there's things that we try to make sure we talk about and discuss throughout home reviews and make sure people know what's available.
I'm kind of getting the impression that it pays to go with the larger companies rather than Joe Blow Insurance Incorporated.
It can. I mean, we definitely try to have a good claims experience when those things do happen. And unfortunately, in just about every one of these large fires over the years I've been here, we've had somebody impacted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a difficult process. No matter how well insured you are, it's a hard process to go through. But that at least if you have the right coverage, it's going to be a little easier.
One of the things that I'd heard someone talk about a number of years ago, and so I endeavored to do is, I've been doing a lot of photography work with real estate for people that are doing virtual tours inside properties and things like that. And one of the things that I was told is that, and I did this on our place, all the whatever valuables, have them sitting out somewhere in plain sight, but doing the whole house and having that as a saved file so that I can prove that yes, in fact, I did have a Stutz Bearcat in my bedroom. I have no idea how it got there, but anyway. Would you say that that's a smart move?
Yeah, it's a great idea. That's what we usually recommend too. Even if you just stand back in a corner of each room and take a picture of each room, at claim time, it's so hard to remember everything you had. What was in all the garage cabinets.
Oh, I forgot Grandpa's watch. And
yeah,
something like that.
And so if you just at least have a photo of even just the room, you'll see things that trigger you, right?
Mm-hmm.
To remember, okay, I had this in this cupboard and this and that cabinet. And,
right.
So any photos you can take and then upload them to the cloud. The best thing, easiest thing probably is just send it to Gmail or Yahoo.
Yeah, you don't want to put it in a cabinet in your house because your house is going to burn down or something, right?
And that way you can access that stuff and when you need it most. And
Well, sadly, we're out of time. I got a couple thousand more dumb questions, but we'll just do that another time. We've been talking, if you just tuned in, with Matt Crespin from Matt Crespin State Farm Insurance, also BJ Bullier in with us in the studio today. Appreciate y'all being here. People want to find out more. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they call us at 928-474-2590 or visit us. We're right behind Fargo Steakhouse in the exact same plaza as Fargo Steakhouse.
Right, just off of Highway 260 there. Outstanding. Well, thanks to both of you for being here again this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks
and
so
we
much.
appreciate you tuning in and listening to Community Spotlight on KRIM. Got some great music coming your way from Steve Winwood, Kansas, Paul McCartney and Wings, Mumford and Sons, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at RIM Country weather.
Now here's the KRIM weather forecast.
What's that?
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. Damn hot.